The morning sun hit something strange on my ranch, a brand new metal fence cutting straight through my pasture. On the other side stood a woman in oversized sunglasses and attitude sharp enough to slice barbed wire. "Sorry," she said, "but this is HOA property now. You'll have to move your animals." I looked at the fence. Then at her shiny clipboard stamped HOA president. She had no clue. Because the man she just tried to steal land from is the county surveyor who approved every inch of her neighborhood's boundaries. Before we begin, drop your country or city name in the comments. I'd love to see how far this story travels. And if you believe in justice over power, hit that like button and subscribe, because this channel stands for stories that speak truth to power. My name's Eli Grant, county surveyor for over 15 years. I've measured every inch of land in this county, from dry creek beds to mansion lots. Last year, I finally bought a quiet 20-acre ranch just outside the city limits, the kind of place where the stars still outnumber the streetlights. A few months later, a new HOA subdivision popped up next door. Big gates, fancy lawns, and people who thought country living meant decorative hay bales and fake horses on their porch. Their president, a woman named Karen Holt, introduced herself the first week. Or maybe I should say, inspected me. She didn't like my barn, said my tractor was unsightly, and complained about my cows making noise at night. I smiled and told her my land wasn't part of her HOA. She smiled back, the kind of smile that means, "We'll see about that." After that, the complaints started rolling in: zoning violations, noise reports, even a letter claiming my fence encroached on her property line. It was funny, really. Because if there's one thing I know better than anyone in this county, it's where the real property lines are drawn. It started on a Friday morning. I came back from a county site inspection and nearly drove into a wall of freshly installed chain-link fencing that sliced right through my pasture like a scar. Brand new. Gleaming metal. And bolted deep into my soil. A bold white sign hung from the gate. Private HOA grounds, no trespassing. Karen stood there in her sun hat, clipboard in hand, looking proud enough to think she'd just claimed a new continent. "Mr. Grant," she said sweetly, "after reviewing the updated property survey, we realized this section actually belongs to the Willow Creek HOA. You'll need to move your livestock immediately." I stared at her for a moment. "Updated survey?" I asked. She tapped her clipboard. "Approved by the county." That was interesting, because I am the county official who approves every new survey and easement in this district. And I sure hadn't signed off on this. That night, I pulled up the official plat maps on the county server, and there it was. A new submission filed under the HOA's name. The boundary lines had been nudged 45 feet into my ranch. Subtle, but enough to grab a clean strip of grazing land. The file listed a consulting surveyor I'd never heard of, with a digital signature that didn't match county records. Forgery. Sloppy forgery. When I zoomed in on the PDF metadata, I saw the timestamp, just 3 days earlier, and the uploader's name, K. Holt. The next morning, I drove to the HOA's office pretending to be calm. Inside, Karen was bragging to her board about how easy it is to get things approved when you know the right people. I stood quietly at the doorway until she noticed me. "Oh," she said, smiling too wide, "Eli. We were just discussing property adjustments. You of all people should understand how complicated these things get." I smiled back. "Oh, I understand, Karen," I said softly. "Better than you think." I left without another word. But on my way home, I pulled out my phone and started recording. Photos. Videos. Fence angles. Coordinates. Every inch of her new property. Because if she wanted to play the game with county documents, she was about to learn how it feels when the man who drew the map fights back. That weekend, I went to work, not as the rancher she tried to cheat, but as the county surveyor she never realized she was crossing. I opened the county GIS database, cross-referenced every coordinate, and overlaid the HOA's new survey against the original plats I'd approved 5 years ago. It didn't take long to find the truth. They'd forged coordinates, shifted boundary markers, and even copied my digital signature from another document. Every change was clean enough to fool a layman, but not me. I compiled everything: timestamps, map layers, digital signatures, and photos of her fence. Then I filed a boundary violation and fraudulent filing report directly with the county recorder's office under my official credentials. By Monday morning, the HOA's entire land plan was flagged for audit. That afternoon, a county enforcement officer and I pulled up outside the HOA clubhouse. Karen came marching out, all confidence and perfume. "What's this about?" she snapped. I handed her the inspection notice. "We're reviewing your property filings, ma'am. You'll need to remove the unauthorized fence pending investigation." Her smile twitched. "You can't do that." I tilted my hat and smiled back. "Actually, Karen, I can. And you should know, you filed those documents with my office." The color drained from her face. She finally realized the fence she built wasn't blocking me in. It was trapping her. A week later, the county called a formal review meeting. The room smelled like old paper and politics, the kind of place where egos usually win over evidence. Karen arrived in her best blazer, carrying a stack of revised maps she must have printed that morning. Her voice dripped confidence when she spoke. "Clearly," she said, "this is a misunderstanding. Our development plans were approved." I interrupted softly. "You mean the plans you forged?" The room went still. I slid a folder across the table. Inside were the originals, my signatures, the altered PDFs, and metadata logs showing the upload came from her HOA office. The county attorney leaned forward. "Mrs. Holt, are you aware that falsifying survey documents is a criminal offense?" Karen's voice faltered. This must be some mistake." But the evidence didn't lie. The timestamps, coordinates, and my field photos lined up perfectly. The board voted unanimously. The HOA was ordered to remove the fence, pay civil penalties, and cover all survey and restoration costs. Karen was stripped of her position as HOA president, pending legal review for document fraud. A week later, I stood on my porch watching workers dismantle the fence she'd built with such pride. Each clang of falling metal was sweeter than music. Karen drove past once, sunglasses hiding her eyes, face pale as limestone. I tipped my hat and smiled. She tried to redraw my land, but I reminded her who writes the map around here.